Hello everyone. Am I audible?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I think we had done relative motion. Nabila,
Yes,
I
sir.
think we have started relative motion in 2 dimension or 1 dimension.
So we are doing non-uniformly accelerated motion and we did do some space on that.
That was the last part.
Yes, sir.
Till this part,
Yes, sir.
Akash,
Yes, sir.
but according to me, I think we had started relative motion 2 dimension. Nabila, you're confirmed?
Yes, sir. I'm sure.
Okay. Okay. So let's start the next part of this chapter, that is relative motion. Since all of the motional parameters are defined by any reference, suppose in third chapter when we have defined motion straight line, we first defined about a reference frame, reference point, or reference coordinate. In that part, I had taken a reference point or coordinate to be at rest, but in this part we have to take in motion, or it will be in acceleration or so on. So relative motion is nothing but motion of a body or system with respect to another system or body. So motion of a body with respect to another body or system is termed as relative motion. Now there is some relation or formula in this part. Let me define you first. Velocity of any object, let's say A, with respect to its own self would be zero always. It means velocity of an individual with respect to its own self will be always zero. Velocity of A with respect to B equals to velocity of B with respect to A. These two would be in opposite direction, so there will be negative sign in between. Suppose an individual A and another B. B is going along this direction. So A will observe B is going towards positive x-axis with some velocity in positive x-axis or positive direction. Similarly, B will observe from himself that A is going far from him towards negative x-axis or towards negative direction. That's why from each of them notation, we can sign negative sign and velocity or magnitude of velocity for either of them will be same. So first is velocity of A with respect to A itself, velocity of A with respect to B equals to velocity of B with respect to A itself. Next is velocity of A with respect to B if you have to find, but A and B is defined by any some third reference, let's say C. So if reference of both of these two bodies same, then there will be negative sign in between. It means velocity of A with respect to B is equals to velocity of A with respect to C and velocity of B with respect to C. Now, if you reverse this notation, you will get velocity of A with respect to B is equals to velocity of A with respect to C plus of velocity of C with respect to B. Now, in these four different formula, you have to use only this term and this term. Is it clear? Or do you have any doubt in these four different formula?
Yes.
Just tell me how many of you have completed your first term examination?
So
Just raise your hand. Nabila, when is the first term exam?
So it's starting from 5th December onwards.
Okay. And similar for Raza.
No,
Etsham?
sir. My exams are going on, first exams, and physics is on 5th December.
Okay. I was thinking to start your second term syllabus first, and then after that, we'll cover up this entire part of the first term. Or should we?
There won't be any problem like in term two, like because if it's
In second part, we don't have any related chapter.
then no issues.
So you can do it as the majority says, but can you just send me and Razan or those who are having first term examination some MCQ questions of first term chapters?
Okay.
Okay, so
You all have written till this part?
Yes, sir, done.
Yes, sir.
Sir, one second, just one second. Okay, sir.
A train is going towards east at 36 kilometers per hour. A monkey is running at 5 meters per second opposite to train on it with respect to train. So find first velocity of train with respect to ground. Second, velocity of monkey with respect to train. And third, velocity of monkey with respect to ground. So in all of problems of relative motion, we first define coordinate system. So let's say east is along positive x-axis and west is along negative x-axis. A train is going towards east. So velocity of train with respect to ground will be taken as positive. There is a monkey running on it opposite to its motion at some velocity 5 meters per second. So it will be velocity of monkey with respect to train, and since it is going opposite to the motion, so it will be along west, so take negative sign to it. And then use the above formula to find velocity of monkey with respect to ground. So in this part, we have velocity of train as 36 kilometers per hour. Velocity of monkey is 5 meters per second. Just use these two terms to find these terms. Try to solve. how to solve it. We have 36 km per hour velocity of train, which is along east. So you'll say velocity of train with respect to ground, since it is along positive x-axis, so it will be plus 36 kilometer per hour. So multiplied by 5 by 18, you will get 10 meter per second. Next is velocity of monkey with respect to train is along west. So it will have negative sign 5 meter per second. Now related to these two terms, we have to find velocity of monkey with respect to ground. So velocity of monkey with respect to ground, just write it as velocity of monkey and velocity of ground. With respect to same term, t and t. If reference is same, then there will be a negative sign in between. Now, we have given velocity of train with respect to ground, but in this part, we have velocity ground with respect to train. So as we know, velocity of train with respect to ground will be opposite of velocity of ground with respect to train. So take negative sign. So you will get velocity of monkey with respect to train plus velocity of train with respect to ground. Now put all the values in this part, you'll get velocity of monkey with respect to ground. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Just simplify it. Yes, Akash.
Nothing, sir, on accident.
We have velocity of monkey with respect to train as -5, velocity of train with respect to ground is +10. So you'll get plus 5 meter per second. It means if there is an observer on the ground, so with respect to this observer, this monkey would appear to move along east at 5 meter per second. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Mazia, any doubt?
Yes, sir.
You all have written till this part?
Yes, sir.
Minashi,
Yes, sir.
any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, depending upon this, we may use equation of motion if velocity, displacement, and acceleration all would be there. So depending upon equation of motion, we define v equals to u plus a times t, first equation. But in this part, the relative term must be same for all these. Velocity of A with respect to B would be equals to initial velocity of A with respect to B and acceleration of A with respect to B. Time is non-relative for your course. Okay. Time will be relative if velocity of body will be comparable to speed of light. Then you will learn theory of relativity or Einstein theory of relativity or special theory of relativity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next is displacement is equals to UTT. So in this part, displacement will be relative, initial velocity will be relative, and acceleration. So depending upon this equation, we may define displacement, final velocity, initial velocity of them. Is it clear?
Yes.
Let me give you a question related to this. If car A is going along east at 36 kilometers per hour, two cars B and C moving in opposite direction at 54 kilometers per hour. When separation between AB and AC is 1 kilometer, then driver of car B decided to overtake car A before car C crosses it. Let me define you according to diagram. Suppose you have path along east-west like this. On which car A is going along this direction, car B and C moving opposite direction, like this. So driver of car B decided to overtake car A before C crosses this car A. Now, at this instant, separation between each of them is 1 kilometer. So this will be 1 kilometer and this will be 1 kilometer. Now let me define you how to approach this problem. First, try to solve for A and C. Since A is going towards east, so let's say it will be along positive x-axis. So velocity of A with respect to ground is positive 36 kilometer per hour. So multiplied by 5 by 18. Next, velocity of car C with respect to ground, since it is in opposite of A, so it will be along negative x-axis. So minus of 54 into 5 by 18. So from these two terms, since it is their initial velocity, so if you define velocity of A with respect to C, so it will be velocity of A with respect to ground minus velocity of C with respect to ground. Solve these two terms and put in this part, you will get initial velocity between A and C. Next is separation between A and C is 1 kilometer. So it will be 1000 meter. And since there is no acceleration of A and C, so acceleration of A with respect to C will be 0. Now you use second equation of motion to define time. So S between AC equals to UAC into T plus half of AC into T squared. Is it clear?
Yes.
Good, Achha. Razan, just check your calculation. Velocity of A with respect to ground, it will be 10 and it will be 15. Put these two terms in this part, you will get 10 minus 15. So you will get 25 meter per second. Good, Raza. I think you have solved this. Now you have to put these terms in this part, and then you'll get time. Akash, just check your calculation. Minashi, since car C is going along opposite of A, so velocity of it will be negative. So minus and minus will become plus. So relative velocity between A and C will be 25 meter per second. Good, Mazia. Good, Raza. Good, Nabila. As we have S is equals to 1000, U is equals to 25 into T, acceleration is 0. So you will get 40 seconds on simplifying this. Now, for the next part, let's say for A and B. Velocity of car A with respect to ground, since it is along positive x-axis, so it will be 36 into 5 by 18 in positive direction. Velocity of car B with respect to ground, it is also along positive direction, so it will be 54 into 5 by 18. Now using these two terms, you may find initial velocity of B as B is approaching towards A with respect to A equals to velocity of B with respect to ground, velocity of A with respect to ground, and since reference is same, so there will be negative sign. Put your values in this part to find initial velocity. As acceleration of B with respect to A will be acceleration of B with respect to ground minus of acceleration of A with respect to ground. As there is no acceleration of A, so this will be 0. And displacement between B and A is 1000 meter. So put all the values in second equation of motion. S is equals to ut plus half times 80 square, and put the value of time to be 40 seconds, you will get acceleration of car B with respect to ground. Is it clear?
Yes.
Try to solve. Ehtisham, just check your calculation. Okay, Minashi, just put the value in the last expression. Good, Akash.
So the acceleration part you have to just leave it, right? Because no values are there. Acceleration BA equals acceleration BG minus acceleration AG.
Acceleration of A with respect to ground is 0, but you have to find acceleration of B with respect to ground. So
Okay.
put all the values in this last expression. Take t to be 40 seconds and simplify it.
Sir, can you do it?
Displacement of B with respect to A is 1000. Initial velocity of B with respect to A, if you simplify the above expression, you will get 5. Time is 40 plus half. Acceleration of A with respect to B is this term, which you have to find. Time is 40 square. So 2 into 20 time. Just simplify this. 5 into 4 plus 2 into 4 is equals to 1000. Move this 200 to the other side. You will get 800 equals to 800 times this. Therefore, acceleration of B with respect to ground will be 1 meter per second squared.
Sir, by mistake I wrote 0. I got the same thing, but cancel it.
Oh, okay. Minashi, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Akash,
Yes, sir.
just write it down.
Sir, can you choose a question in 1 minute?
Okay.
Yes.
Find acceleration of B to do this. So you have to find this part. You all have written till this part?
Yes, sir.
Minashi,
Yes, sir.
Mazia,
Yes, sir.
okay. So this is about one-dimensional relative motion. Let me define you two-dimensional relative motion, in which first would be a river problem. Suppose you have, there is a river having width W, in which velocity of flow of water is along east at some velocity U, and a swimmer dives normally, or let's say at some angle theta, into it along this direction with some velocity V, at some angle theta. So it will have two components along this direction and along this direction, depending upon the value of theta. So it will be v cos theta and it will be v sin theta. Velocity of flow of river is u. A river having width w is flowing at velocity u along east. A swimmer who can swim in still water at velocity v dives into it at angle theta. So from this we can say velocity of river with respect to ground is plus of u along I cap. Velocity of swimmer with respect to river is minus of v times cos theta I cap and plus of v times sin theta along j cap. Is it clear? Now, using these two terms, we may define first velocity of swimmer with respect to river and velocity of swimmer with respect to ground. We have to find equals to velocity of swimmer with respect to river plus velocity of river with respect to ground. If you put all the values, you will get minus of v cos theta I cap plus of v sin theta j cap and plus of u I cap. So on rearranging, you will get u minus v cos theta along I cap and plus of v sin theta along j cap. Is it clear? Or do you have any doubt?
Clear, sir.
Minashi, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just write it down to this part. Akarsh, any doubt?
It's not very clear, sir. Can you?
Okay. Just write it down first. You all have written till this part.
Yes, I done, sir.
In this part, we have a river having width W, which is flowing at some initial velocity U along east, in which a swimmer whose velocity in still water is V dives into it at some angle theta, due to which it will have two components. One is along x-axis, V cos theta, and the other is V sin theta. Since velocity of the swimmer, it would be with respect to river. Now we have to define it with respect to ground. So I've written velocity of river with respect to ground is U, since it is along positive x-axis, so plus I cap. Depending upon component of velocity V, we may define velocity of swimmer with respect to river is minus of p cos theta I cap, since it is along negative x-axis, and plus of p sin theta j cap, since it is along positive y-axis. Akash, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, to define velocity of swimmer with respect to ground, we use velocity of swimmer with respect to river plus velocity of river with respect to ground. I have used plus sign here. I have reversed the direction of a reference term. So you'll get plus sign here. Now put the value of each term and simplify it. You'll get this part as well as this part. It means it will have two component of velocity. One is along x-axis and the other is along y-axis. Depending upon these two velocity, we may define two different terms. First is for vertical component. This velocity will be responsible for crossing of river or to move along vertical line to reach the opposite end. So from this, we can define time to cross the river. So time is equals to distance by speed. Distance is width of river and speed in that particular direction is b times sine theta. So this will be your total time to cross the river using the component of velocity of swimmer. Now, if you have to define minimum time or shortest time, or you may say for normal stroke, for minimum time, or it may be termed as for normal stroke, theta will be 90 degree and sine of 90 degree will be maximum, that is 1. So T minimum in this condition will be W divided by V. So this is your first formula for this crossing of river. Now this X component will be responsible to get drift from its actual point. So we may define 3 different conditions related to this velocity. First is if u is greater than v times cos theta. If u equals to v times cos theta, and if u is less than v cos theta. It means if u will be greater than v cos theta, means flow of river is greater than component of x or velocity of swimmer, then swimmer will slightly shift towards right. So get drifted towards right. And this last part, if u is less than v cos theta, so swimmer will get drifted towards left. But in this part, if you have v cos theta equals to u, it means there will be no drift in position, or swimmer will reach just opposite and perpendicular to it. So you'll say no drift, or it will be also termed as shortest path. So if you rearrange this equation to find theta, you will get u divided by v, and amount of drift in either of the two cases will be speed into time. So speed will be u minus v cos theta into time, which is equals to w divided by v sin theta. Is it clear? Akash, do you have any doubt?
No, sir.
So we mainly have to define, first is minimum time to cross the river, means this formula, or it will be also termed as for normal stroke. And second is for no drift or for shortest path, theta will be this term. And if you put this value of theta to find time in this condition, you will get t is equals to width divided by v times sine theta, or you may write it as v squared minus u squared. Just write it down till this part. I'm giving you a problem related to this. Just 1 minute, I'm scrolling up. Raza, you have written till this part?
Yes.
Nabila?
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Okay. A river of width 1 kilometer is flowing at 5 meter per second towards east. It means the value of U is 5. A swimmer who can swim in still water at 10 meter per second dives into it. Means V is 10 meter per second. So you have to find first minimum time to cross the river. Minimum time to cross the river. Second, angle of dive with respect to flow for shortest path. Also find time to cross a river in this case. Just use the above formula and try to find these two problems. According to question, we have width of river is 1 kilometer. So in terms of meter, it will be 1000. Velocity of flow of stream or river is 5 meter per second. So use 5. Velocity of swimmer is 10 meter per second. So for the first part, to get minimum time, formula is W divided by V. For second part, you have to find first angle of dive for shortest path. So cos theta will be U divided by V. Since this theta is with respect to opposite of flow of river, so angle of dive with respect to flow will be 180 degree minus theta. And last, time to get this shortest path will be width of river divided by V times sine theta. Just put all the values in these two expressions. Good, Nabila. Good, Akash. Good, Mazia. Good, Minashi. Good, Raza. Good, Atisham. Good, Mazia. Atisham, you have to find angle with respect to flow of river.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Minashi, you have to find angle of dive with respect to flow of river. It means subtract that angle from 180 degree. Good, Minashi. Good, Sham. Width of river is 1000 meter. Velocity of swimmer is 10. And sine of 60 degree is root 3 by 2. This 0 and this 0 will cancel out. So you'll get 200 divided by root 3, or you may rationalize it to get 200 root 3 divided by 3 seconds. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Minashi, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So in this river problem, we have to find only these two type of problem. You all have written till this part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And the last topic of this chapter is about rain problem. Suppose this is along east-west. This is north-south. And this is vertical direction. Vertical up and vertical down. Suppose rain is falling along this direction, having some velocity, due to which it will have two components depending upon this theta. One would be along this direction, let's say B, and the other would be along this direction, let's say A. So this is velocity of rain with respect to ground. Now suppose a man having umbrella is going along east at some velocity u. If rain is falling at angle theta and a man having umbrella is going along east at velocity u. Now we have to define in which direction he should hold his umbrella to save himself. Let's say first, velocity of man with respect to ground is along x-axis, so it will be plus of ui cap, and velocity of rain with respect to ground having two components, one is along x-axis a and one is along y-axis, so minus of b j cap. So using these two terms, we may define first velocity of rain with respect to man. So you'll get velocity of rain with respect to ground minus velocity of man with respect to ground. Put the value of each term, ai minus bj minus of ui. So on rearranging, you will get a minus u I cap minus of b j cap. Is it clear till this part? Akarsh?
Yes, sir.
Raza, any doubt?
No, sir.
Mazia?
No, sir.
Okay. It means this relative term having two component of velocity, one is along x-axis and the other is along y-axis. It means the resultant of these two terms would be along this direction. Velocity of rain with respect to man, which may be inclined at some angle phi and will have component along x-axis as u, a minus u, and along y-axis as b. So if you want to calculate this phi, so tan phi is equals to perpendicular over base. Perpendicular will be a minus u divided by base, which is b. Depending upon the value of a and u, this angle may be of three different types. First is if a is greater than u. Second is if a equals to u. And third is if a is less than u. So inclination of umbrella would vary depending upon the value of a and u. In first part, if a is greater than u, this phi will be in positive. It means umbrella should hold along this direction. So inclination must be towards west at some phi, like this part. In this second part, if a equals to b, it means phi will be 0. So we should hold vertically like this. In third part, if A is less than U, it means phi will be negative. It means angle will be along this direction. Or you'll say we must bend towards east at some angle phi. So it will be towards east and it will be towards west. Is it clear to all of you till this part? Ehtisham?
Yes, sir, clear, sir.
Okay. Nabila, any doubt?
No, sir.
Sir, can you go a bit up?
Okay. Till this part or more?
Done, sir, this much. This much. Yes, sir, done. Sir. Done. Sir.
If rain is falling vertically at 10 meter per second, and a man with umbrella is going along east at 3 meter per second, so find angle at which he must hold his umbrella in order to save himself. Try to solve. Just use the above concept and try to find. Just see in this part, we have rain is falling vertically. It means it having vertical component only. So A will be 0 and B is 4 meter per second. Man is going along east, so U is 3 meter per second. Just use this term to find phi. Sham, you have solved?
Doing, sir, doing. 1 minute.
In this part, if you find tan phi equals to a minus u divided by b, a is 0, u is 3, divided by b is 4. So you'll get negative sign, just neglect it. So tan phi will be 3 by 4. Just relate it to this triangle. Tan phi is perpendicular over base. It means theta will be 37 degree. And this negative sign will define you its inclination. If you get positive value, it means it will be along west. And since in this part it is negative, it means it is along east. So this phi or theta must be towards east. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Minashi, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
You all have written till this part?
Yes, sir.
Mazia, any doubt?
No, sir. No doubt.